All right, hello, and we are back with another author interview for Space Wizard Science Fantasy Year 4, Part 2. So this is one of our non-series books. We have a lot of series in this campaign, but this one is a first book. So I'll let the author introduce herself and tell you about the book.
Hey, so my name's Rena Rockford, and I write a fair amount of science fiction and fantasy. And this particular book is what would happen if old people had to go on the adventure to save the world. And so they have, old people problems as well as, they've already saved the world for crying out loud. Why do they have to do it again and again? Can't it stay saved for 1 minute, as Mr. Incredible says? So that's where a lot of this comes from, is the unending cyclical nature of life and how no matter how much you save it needs saving again. And I guess that means the laundry too, basically. But
Yeah. Well, I really loved this about the book when I picked it up the first time. I think you submitted through, was it Small Pitch?
small pitch, yeah.
Yeah. So I picked this up, oh, it's probably a year ago or more now. Um, and I actually picked up two books, so you're going to have another book coming out later. Um, we may talk about that a little bit later on, but that's going to be in the next campaign we have. So, but this one I really loved because it was, to me, it just said like Golden Girls and Dresden Files,
Yep.
uh, and it's got a great. Both of us, my wife and I, love Golden Girls, and so it's really got that same dynamic in there. And also just you don't see like old people saving the world a lot. So I really love that part of the book. Um, and this also deals with magic and fae and stuff like that. So
Yeah, so to not to give away too much of the plot, but magic was put away as part of a deal with the Fae. And
mm,
so part of this is, they've dealt with the Fae, and so now they have to deal with sort of the ramifications and the fallout of a deal with the Fae that
yeah.
has now gone bad.
Mm,
Uh, but as with all dealings with the Fae, it's not exactly clear whether the Fae have dealt fairly in the first place,
yeah.
as the Fae are known to do. So there is also this dynamic between summer and winter. And we get to talk about some, very lightly, some topics about things like what does it mean for the summer and winter court with the change of climate and the dynamics of our world?
Hmm.
And what do they mean? Um, and I give my fae some deeper meaning, like they're from space, basically. I have
Yeah.
space fae.
Yeah.
Um, but uh, all of that plays out in here. And so there's, I mean, like with all stories, there's some, maybe you should deal with the Fae.
Maybe you shouldn't. Yeah. Yeah, I love that you have a little touch of science fiction in there, just a little bit. And I guess you'll have to read the book to find out. But that's one of the things that really drew me to this as well. That there's some cool sort of explanation behind the Fae and what's going on. Um, so what made you talked about it a little bit, but like what made you really go into like, let's take, well, I mean, they're older than that, but like what would be like 70, 80-year-old people um, that aren't magicians. Um, you know, how do you write that?
Well, there's a few ways that you write that. One of the things about growing old is as you age, you uh, eventually you're like, well, I guess I don't do that activity anymore.
Yeah.
But this book came from a couple of places. So, hilariously, um, one of our neighbors nearby,
Hmm.
there was a cooking fire in her house, and we were the only people who heard the fire alarm. And so we
Wow.
went to go and rescue her. We broke down a gate to get into her house,
Yeah.
and she was crying for help. So
Mhm.
obviously, property damage allowed.
Right.
Um, so yeah, we went in and we saved her. We pulled her out. We called 911, and when 911 was packing her up, a bunch of the other old women who lived nearby all gathered at the door. And when they were pulling this woman away, it was determined by that point, and already, the gossip had spread so fast
Yeah.
that she had been cooking dinner and she passed out.
Yeah.
And basically, the other ladies watching her be, hauled away, go, "Hey, Ruth, what's for dinner?" And this old woman just flips him off. She was so mad. She was so mad. And I'm like, ooh, I need these characters in my life.
Yes. Yes, that's great. Love the spicy old lady. That's just and there's a bunch of those moments in the book too that I really like that. And I think she's definitely channeling the Dorothy, our main character in the story, um, to me at least, and out of the Golden Girls. Um,
Yes,
so
very
yeah.
much.
So there's four characters in the book, three old women and an old man, who are all gonna go on this journey. So there's a lot of fun that you're gonna get into with this book. Um, so you're a new author to Space Wizard, but you have published some other stuff. So tell us a little bit about what other stuff you published and what you write.
So mostly I do write a lot of fantasy, especially a lot of urban or paranormal fantasy.
Mhm.
I do write science fiction as well. I have cats running across my That's fantastic.
To be expected.
And I previously published with Curiosity Quills. So my first book with them was Acne, Asthma, and Other Signs You Might Be Half Dragon,
Mhm.
which follows a teenager whose mom has been hiding from her the fact that her father is a dragon.
Uh,
And this crops up as she's aging, and some of the symptoms of being a dragon start to really become impossible for her to hide. Well, it turns
yeah,
out that the reason her mom was trying to hide her is that it's very dangerous to be descended from these mythical creatures
yeah.
in the world of today. And so they, of course, get into a lot of shenanigans. Um, and then the other books I have with them are Of Pens and Swords, which was actually a YA contemporary novel
Mhm.
that's a retelling of Cyrano de Bergerac in modern day, but with women as the main characters, and Roxanne is a boy in this
Mhm.
one. And then a novel that's set vaguely in the same world as Acne, Asthma, and Other Signs You Might Be Half Dragon is Prom Magic and Other Man-Made Disasters. And it's a portal fantasy where the character goes into a fantastical world uh,
Cool.
to save it and come back.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
all of those are out of print currently, but
Oh no.
by
Okay.
the time this comes back up, they'll be relaunched on Amazon, so they'll be available very soon. I'm sure.
Cool. All right. Well, we'll try to get some links to that whenever they're available. Get them out there. But that's actually I wanted to say something a little bit about that because you're um, sort of out of what I usually publish. I usually don't publish a lot of urban fantasy, but I really liked this one. And like I said, just the Golden Girls and Dresden Files really drew me in because I love both of those. But I do get a lot of people at markets asking for like, do you have a book with fairies? Do you have a book with dragons? Do you have a book with all this stuff? And I'm usually like, well. We don't do a whole lot of urban fantasy. So I was really excited to have this because then we can say, yes, here's a book with fairies in it. Here's a book with urban fantasy and um, well, yeah, and some dragony sort of things in it too. So yeah, that I think this would be a really good addition to the Space Wizard catalog. And let's just give a little bit of a hint because we are going to be publishing a science fiction book of yours soon after this one. So they I guess we didn't actually say the title, didn't we? Mothball Magic is the title of this book that's coming out. It's going to be in probably May 2026, around there. And so only a few months later, we're going to have another book of yours coming out. So give us a little non-spoilery sort of preview of that.
Yeah, so the next book, Romance and the Gentle Art of Rocket Racing, is uh, it is ostensibly a romance, but it's also Cyrano de Bergerac in space,
Hmm.
but with with the all the roles gender flipped around a bit.
Yeah.
And so the premise is there's a colony planet that had been utilized for extractive purposes, so they've been mining.
Hmm.
And the corporation decided it was no longer profitable to continue mining, and they pulled up stakes and left all the laborers on the mining planet. And so then the laborers had to make choices about how they wanted their government to go. And then this is about 8 or 10 generations after that. And it turns out they're thriving because what the corporation had left behind was valuable enough for trade, and they had, of course, really excellent technology at the time, and so they were able to turn that into a working colony, even though their planet isn't very great, and they're at odds with trying to seek out a better atmosphere. So they're working on that, and that's kind of where the start of it is,
Yeah.
um, where the character's sort of, a complete disaster.
Yeah. And yeah, and so I've read through this one too, really enjoyed this one as well. And so I think this really shows your breadth of writing, that we got this great urban fantasy, and then we're going to have this very, very cool science fiction that's coming up, both with a lot of really cool character interactions, just sort of both have romance in them, a little bit, um,
Yeah, like,
and a little bit. Not primarily romance, but they are really, really fun stories, more adventure stories than anything else. So good. So what any other things you have in the pipeline or any other ideas you're working on?
yeah, I always have so much that I'm working on. Like, I always find this to be such a fascinating question. I'm actually querying right now with a book that I had previously tried to bring out into the world, and then I
Mhm.
put it away for a while. Um, and now I'm trying to bring it out again. And it's one of those things where it's always fascinating to watch how people react to books, and how books have more of like its moment isn't necessarily the moment when you create it. So when I
Yep.
wrote this book, the rejections that I was getting from agents were things like, this book is so incredible. I have no idea where I would market it. I don't know how to
Mhm.
sell this. I don't know how to get it into a store. And
Yeah.
then just last week, I got a rejection from the same book, but 6 years later, where they said, God, your magic system is so common. Everybody's doing that now. It's like,
Oh.
but that one's about a very authoritarian society, and it's otherworld fantasy, and their voice calls elements. So if you're an air singer, you can call wind.
Mhm.
But this particular main character, uh, vague spoiler for her, her parentage is one is air and one is water, so
Mm.
she can call up storms,
Ooh, nice.
and so she does.
Yeah.
And of course, there's reasons why the people who have power have been suppressed by the society,
Hmm.
and that all plays out in a very, dystopian sky ships and swords kind of adventure.
Yeah.
Uh, I call that one Avatar: The Last Airbender, crossed with Pacific Rim of all fun things.
Ooh, that sounds fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it has kaiju in it, and they are
Hmm.
awful. And that's who you're trying to defeat in that one as they're progressing around the world.
Yeah.
And then I've got another otherworld fantasy that I don't know if it's going to get anywhere because it's very imperial,
Hmm.
and I haven't done enough of the world building to make the imperial side of it not seem like empires from Asia specifically.
Hmm.
And it's hard to make that distinction sometimes in writing
Yeah.
without doing much, much more world building. And
Hmm.
that's always a balance. How do you have enough world building so that
Right.
everybody understands what you're putting together, but
Yep.
also you have to keep people interested. Like, we got to get somewhere, we got to do something.
Yeah.
And then on the urban fantasy side, I'm working on one called War Horse that's about the four horsemen of the apocalypse war.
Mhm.
He's feeling a little. Alex's horse is feeling a little off and doesn't want to do the job very much anymore. And so War's, trying to get his pony in line and trying to
Mhm.
make him understand, like, we got to get back to work. And the horse is like, no, we always win. We have to win legitimately at something. And so he's like, well, what do you want? And he's like, well, how about some horse shows? Let's do some horse shows. I'd like to actually have a chance of losing. And this isn't war based. So like
Mhm.
your power doesn't work here. And so that one's much more actual romance, but tied
Mhm.
in a bit more with Faye again. But
Yeah.
again, hasn't gotten off the ground quite yet, but
Okay.
it's out there,
Yeah.
gathering steam.
So you got a lot of stuff going on. That's
I
yeah.
haven't even gotten to the one I'm actually writing right now.
Okay.
Yeah, no, we can't go through all of
We
my
can't
books.
go that. Okay.
I've
All
been
right.
writing for a long, long time.
Yeah. Well, that's great. Those are excellent stories. So I guess everybody watching, you can see the breadth of stories that Rena has, which is obviously why I sort of picked up on them. Because you actually pitched, I think you pitched Mothball Magic, and then I sort of picked up both of them at the same time because you were like, well, I have this other one as well. Um, so yeah, I really love these stories. I know you guys watching this are going to be excited by this story. I think it's really good. So go to Space Wizard Science Fantasy, the campaign, year four, part two. It's running November to December. So this interview will probably go up probably middle of October-ish. So you have a couple weeks left to get to the campaign. Um, so definitely back Rena's new book, Mothball Magic, and then we'll come back in June of next year, and we'll have another campaign with another of Rena's books in it. So we'll get to learn even more about it. Um, well, it's been great to talking to you. Any last thoughts or words you want to leave us with before we
I
go off?
I would say my book is more timely than I thought it would be.
Hmm. Yes. Yes, it is. That does have a little bit of spoilers, so I'm gonna leave that one. But yeah,
Oh,
if um that's a good point. Yeah, if you are along with what Space Wizard sort of stands for in ethics and in supporting people, yeah, you're gonna get a little bit of that in Mothball Magic too. It is. We actually had to change a couple things in the book. It was too timely.
it's
Um,
timely.
yeah, we
Back into fiction.
yeah, really. Well, okay, I'm gonna give one of them away because I thought this was very interesting. We had a reference to Tesla in there, the car. Um, and this was before shenanigans happened. And so we were looking back at it and I was like, maybe let's change that car to something else.
Well, I wrote it in 2017. So in
Yeah.
2017, it was a perfect reference. But
Hmm.
now it's like, ooh, things have changed. Don't
Yeah.
use brands, children.
No. Yeah, definitely a warning for if you're writing a book. Watch out which brands you're using. Um, yeah, so I guess there's another tidbit to leave you with. So look for this very very timely book coming out as well, and hopefully give you a nice sense of victory over certain forces while reading it. But all right, so it's been great talking to you. We have some excellent books coming out. We'll look for Mothball Magic, and then we'll look for the next book, Romance and the Art of Rocket
Gentle
Ship.
art of rocket racing. Yep.
Rocket Racing, yes, coming in summer of next year. All right, so that's it for now. Go back to campaign, and we will have more for you later. Bye.
Fine.